lesson, I will discuss some of the key principles associated to action learning. Action learning is a pedagogical approach that positions learning practices within processes of personal and societal transformation. This is founded on the notion that education should play a fundamental role in creating just and democratic societies. Action learning is concerned with collective learning activities that are embedded in real-life situations, particularly where processes of oppression, resistance, and liberation are taking place. This approach highlights power relations in the production and dissemination of knowledge, and enables horizontal pedagogical experiences where the roles of learner and teacher, expert and amateur, doer and speaker are interchangeable. As such, action learning questions formal learning institutions as the only source of education, and recognizes the variety of informal, self-organized and decentralized spaces that enable the creation and exchange of knowledge. Founded on the principles of critical pedagogy, action learning embodies a problem-solving approach to education. This is about problematizing social processes as much as it is about exploring pathways towards transformative change. Drawing upon the work of Paulo Freire, action learning seeks to engage both learners and teachers in investigating the consequences as well as the causes of inequalities that affect people's everyday lives. At the same time, action learning is about reflecting collectively on what can be done to create a fair and more just society. These two processes are not linked in a linear or sequential manner, but rather in an iterative fashion, where the process of problematizing generates opportunities for future action, and debates about the future allow for developing a collective understanding of the issues at stake. As explained by Freire, in this process people rupture their existing attitudes of silence, accommodation and passivity, and gain confidence and abilities to alter unjust conditions and structures. Action learning involves a collaborative process of planning, action, observation and reflection. Facilitating an action learning initiative involves creating opportunities for actively doing or making together, while also cultivating spaces of trust and openness, where participants can reflect personally and collectively about the assumptions, the feelings, and the power relations that are embedded in their shared experience. This reflective component of action learning is key in order to highlight that learning is not a neutral process, but rather one that is situated and therefore shaped by asymmetrical and hierarchical social relations. Importantly, action learning is about revealing these relations, embracing the perspectives of others, and in this process also generating more nuanced and emancipatory visions about the future. Action learning is also about critically engaging with the political economy of learning institutions, such as schools and universities. In many instances, formal education institutions have endorsed the idea that knowledge is a commodity, a good that can be bought or sold, and have reproduced ways of teaching and learning that are linear, hierarchical, and exclusionary. In this sense, action learning needs to be understood and positioned within wider struggles for democratizing education. This means recognizes that the unequal distribution of resources and opportunities in societies cannot be addressed if we don't address knowledge and learning as key sites where social inequalities are also produced and reproduced and can be potentially challenged. If action learning is to address exclusionary forms of knowledge production and exchange, it requires building strategic partnerships beyond the formal education system, linking together different groups and communities who share an interest in social change. Therefore, action learning is about creating or supporting alliances between formal and informal learning institutions, including universities as well as professional practices, NGOs, social movements, and grassroots groups. The emancipatory potential of action learning initiatives can be fulfilled when these are embedded within wider and longer-term collaborations and struggles. Finally, a key challenge for action learning practitioners consists in drawing lessons from specific experiences in order to influence the wider education system. Be it a university or a social organization, each institution has a system of learning in place, with its own assumptions about who should learn, from whom, how, and for what purpose. Action learning provides a specific perspective on these questions. A good question you can ask yourselves is how does this perspective affect the institution within which you operate and your own learning and teaching practices within it.